Hello, dreamers and thinkers, and welcome to another episode of Undone. On today's episode, I have my two amazing friends joining me to discuss our current topic, identity in the diaspora. Guests, introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, I'm Ray. I am Indian born, Kenyan raised, and Australia based.
Of course, you gave a whole background.
Multicultural.
Yeah.
We like them exotic.
No, exactly. People need to know. Three continents down, three more to go. Hello.
How do you claim it?
Winning.
Yes.
And I am Rati. I am 26 years old, born and raised in Zimbabwe, representing the end. That's it.
That's it. We love it.
I was born and raised.
If your mama heard you say your name like that, she would slap you.
Okay. Take two. My name is Ratizo Cordelia Shishiji, born and raised in Zimbabwe.
I loved it. So before we get into it, if you guys just want to briefly explain what your life has looked like up until now.
Okay, so I was born and raised in a single parent household. I moved to Australia when I was 20. So for the most part, my adult life has been in Australia. Moved to live with my aunt and my uncle. Shout out to them. I went to uni here, graduated 2018. Fast forward 6 years later, and basically working as a nurse in emergency and trying to adult.
We love it. Ray?
Like I said, I actually grew up in Kenya, and for most of my childhood was there. And at about 15 or 16, I moved to Australia. So I did the rest of my high school here, went to Diaspora University and studied pharmacy. And now I'm just trying to live it up in the health field.
If you guys hadn't noticed, my friends are incredible. Okay, just health heroes out here.
We're about to start a hospital.
Brag on them.
Link on the bio. We're starting a hospital.
Come on.
I'll practice in the name of Jesus.
Hallelujah. We believe it. But I guess the reason that I have you guys on here is because your story is a bit different to other people's stories in the sense that you guys didn't leave your respective countries when you were like still in primary school or whatever the case may be. For Rati, for you were like 20, and Ray, you were like what, 15?
16? About 15, 16, yeah.
Yeah. So in the grand scheme of things, that is when you would kind of have a grasp on your identity, kind of. I use that very loosely. But I guess my question is, did you feel like you had a grasp on your identity? And how did moving shake things up for you?
Well, I'll go first. First of all, this whole grasp for an identity thing for me, because growing up in Zimbabwe, the food, the family, the culture, it's never questioned. It's a predominantly Black country. I mean, if you're going to put it like that in terms of skin color and everything. So no one really questions you. Your accent, everyone has the same accent. Everyone knows how to spell your name. So things like that. It was only after I moved here and I was like, wait, she's different. I was like, oh, so there's like things like that you're like, oh, well, there's things that I had never had to think about. Like I knew the basic foods that we always had to eat, and I never had to explain to anyone the recipe and things like that. So
you didn't. No one was asking, "What's that?
What's that? Wait, you eat
Why
that?
Does it smell like that? Where does that come from?"
Exactly, and turning their nose on it. Yeah. So I mean, all with good intents, obviously, but I didn't have a grasp on my identity when I moved here. Well, I generally knew what it was, but I didn't know how different it would look in comparison to someone else's identity. But I don't know, Ray, what do you have to say? What do you think?
Well, did I have a grasp of my identity? 100% not. So I think
we love your honesty.
No, I think my identity journey actually started 2 years before we moved here when I went to boarding school. And up until that point, I think there was structure and systems to who I was and in the spaces that I occupied, in the sense that if I go to school and I'm an A student and I find favor with teachers, but I guess not too much that I'm a teacher's pet, but still find favor with my peers, then I'm Gucci. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like same thing with church. Like my parents were heavily involved in ministry. So it was, as long as I represented them well and I didn't bring shame to the family, we're good.
Oh,
yeah.
Is a topic for another day.
Honestly. But it was until boarding school that kind of just shook how I navigated life a little bit. And me trying to grasp how to maneuver while still being confident and comfortable and authentic. I guess little nuances of my own identity started to come out, and then the big move just added lots of pressure into that. So at 15, 16, I think everything was just so disrupted for me. So
which is I think it's so crazy because your hormones are flaring, you're growing up and all these things, and it's like, oh, and also we're gonna move to Australia, a whole new country.
Have fun.
But it was a roller coaster, to say the very least.
You did say how did the move shake things up? I think what I forgot to mention in my intro was that when I moved here, I was an international student. So I moved here as an international student to study nursing. So, I mean, did the move shake things up? Yeah, definitely. I mean, my finances changed. My relationship dynamics with my friends and family changed. Like the people who I'd grown up with, went to kinder with, primary and high school. So that was also a different kind of space, because you've got different mentalities with the people that you grew up with, and you're not in the same situation. So they can't really be your support system because they don't know what you're going through. So, I mean,
but at the same time, they're the people that you've known the longest.
Exactly. And for a lot of people who don't know, Zimbabwe hasn't been doing too good in life generally. I mean,
I think that's the only thing people know about Zimbabwe.
Definitely.
There's one thing people know about Zimbabwe, is that we have not been doing too good.
And it's been happening for 50 years. But anyway, still we move, we stand in Jesus' name. Amen. One day, you know what? We're going to be right up there with the US dollar. Maybe. So all this to say, when I moved here, I moved to study nursing. Nursing was not my first preference. My first preference was law. And I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be an advocate. I'm going to change the world. Human rights attorney. Anyway, so all this to say, I moved here to get into a stable program, to get into a degree that I knew would get me a job. So because of that, the move, I had to sacrifice a lot of freedom and creativity, and I had to put my passion project aside for stability. So if you want to look at it from that angle, there was a lot to be sacrificed, and the move did really shake things up.
That is so interesting, because then it's like, did the move bring out parts of you that you didn't know existed? And do you feel like important parts of who you were quietened? That's to both of you, throwing that out there.
Look, in Zimbabwe, we operate with a scarcity mentality. So it's always like, there's not enough for tomorrow. You better be careful with how you spend stuff. So I didn't realize that how much that shaped my character, how much went into my giving, and how much went into how I spend my time, how I love people and things like that. So it's really elaborated what I didn't know I had, the qualities I didn't know I had, and it made me question why I have those qualities. Is that really who I am, or is that what I am because of society? Is that am I just a byproduct of society? Because that's how I know to live life. I don't know, Ray, what do you think?
I have to agree with you. Like I said before, I think a lot of who I was and what I was because of what I'd seen modeled for me. And so I think it had less to do with the move and just more of my life stage at the time. And so it probably did increase that in a sense, because obviously it was it's a different environment and a different mentality here. So it definitely did. But in conclusion.
In conclusion, that's all there is to that. We're all still learning. And I think more than anything, I think it's important for everyone who's listening to know that this did not happen because I landed in Australia the 24th of April 2014. I did not get this realization that day. This is something that has unfolded with years and years. And as things have happened, and as I've gone through life, like as I've graduated, as I have made friendships, as I've started work, it's like, oh, why do I react like this? Like, why is this happening? So it's like, you never really stop having an introspection and looking into your character. Like, is this really who I am? Or is this who I think things should be? So it did not, it's still unfolding. Like to this day, I still find myself caught up and stuck on stupid going, ooh, Sissy, why are you like this?
Ooh, what was that? Where'd that come from?
Exactly.
And that is not most of our conversations. Like, I reacted this way this week. I don't know where that came from.
I apologize.
That wasn't me. That was not me.
Literally.
No, but you're right. And I think what my biggest thing in hindsight was not only were you trying to navigate the space here, and a lot of things were being shaken up for you, but like also navigating how you're perceived back home. Because I remember there's times I'd call home and like on one hand I'm hearing the African girl speaking fluent interest and the surprise on people's faces, and then having
rich. Now she
exactly
rich.
And then having to morph my accent to suit the audience, only for me to call back home and they're like, oh, you've changed, like you sound like a Mzungu, and I'm like,
oh my
like, what do you want from me?
The way I got that so many times when I was in Kenya, and I realized towards the end I actually started diluting my accent in order to not stand out as much. I was like, oh, if I dilute it enough that it just sounds like I probably went to like a good boarding school and no good English in quotation marks.
Just enough to get you by. No, but the people don't know, because like what you were doing in Kenya or where you were in Kenya. Like, don't just be like, when I was in Kenya, when were you in Kenya?
I'm so sorry. Okay, so backstory. Before Corona came and ruined people's travel plans.
Yeah.
I went to Kenya.
We're still petty.
Oi, I'm so mad about that. I went to Kenya it ended up being 5 weeks, and I was volunteering / I don't know, on attachment kind of vibe. We don't really know what to call it, at the Kenyan Medical Research Institute.
So this is recent. This is like 5 weeks ago.
Oh,
or maybe
it's nearly
like 8 weeks
I
now.
left nearly 2 months ago for the trip, and I've been back a month-ish.
Okay, so I think this is like what I'm trying to say, like this is still happening, like this is things that we're still going through, like actively pursuing, actively trying to fit in, actively not white enough but actively not African enough, and everyone's like,
that's
we don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just thought I should highlight that for the people who are listening, like, yo, we're in it for in it, Jacob Zuma.
We're really
we're in it for in it. Oh my days.
Off the back of that, did you feel like coming into this new society and normal, there were things that you disliked about your culture that you have now learnt to re-like? If that makes sense. Like being dropped into the Western world, you're like, oh, why do we do things like this? Why do we do the things like that? And you hate it. And then as you...
Is my mom listening to this? Don't send this to my grandma.
We'll keep the family out of it.
Yeah, look. So I don't have things that I disliked, but it made me question a lot of the values. It made me question why things were done a certain way, why people couldn't get up and go to the kitchen to get their own food. Why do I have to bring food for everybody? Everybody's got legs. Like,
that's such a thing. Whenever I go back to Zim, I'm the dish and the water, washing people's hands. And I'm like, who is this? I don't do this back home.
We really could trim 5 minutes off of this and everybody got up and washed their own hands.
Wash their hands.
Really?
And pick your plate on your way back to sit down.
Legitimately.
And how hard is it to just wash your dish after you've used it?
Hallelujah.
So
Come on, somebody.
It's not that serious. It is not that serious. So I think it's just like there's definitely like major aspects, and I think like the worst part of it all is having to question your entire existence and question your all the values, because you're like, there's definitely things that are important that my parents literally pounded on me, which for the longest time I thought they made sense, which to this day they still make sense, but I had to look at it from a different perspective and be like, oh wow, so the way that we give people stuff, like we are so generous with our money, but the way it may have I may have perceived it when I was a kid was like, I don't know, we just been giving people money, I don't even know what that's about, like they just came and we gave them a cup of sugar,
like they wanted sugar and we gave them sugar.
Tomorrow is salt, the next day it's flour, what do you want next, the pot?
Literally
things like that. But like now that I've had to look at it from a different perspective, I'm like, oh no, we give people because we've got more than enough, so we get to give, and that's actually, there's pleasure in giving, and God loves a cheerful giver, and so forth.
Amen.
So I think it's just like having to go through and combing through the entire space and just being like, okay,
this is everything I was
does
taught.
This make sense?
Yes.
Like, does it make sense? Was it coming from a well-meaning place? Like it says, I think there's like all these like superstitions. Don't sit in the road, you're gonna get boils. Just tell people not to sit in the road because they're gonna be hit by traffic.
Or don't jump over someone's leg. That one I never understood.
I kid you not, to this day, my grandma does not wear red because she believes that you wear red and someone will curse you. Red is the color of getting curses.
Okay, in Zim, red is the color of like prostitute.
Yes! I don't wear red lipstick. I could never. I couldn't can.
Red lipstick, red nail polish, prostitute.
Who told these people these things? Who told these people these things?
No one did. But the 90s hookers, they got us into this. We're getting with them. Because now my mama won't let me be an Emirates air hostess because I can't rock the red lipstick. Exactly. So it's like, what was the sentiment behind all these like values that you brought down? Like, was it I don't know. I really don't know.
This was a conversation I had recently with my cousin, and I'm like, okay, you're in Zimbabwe, so it's probably a lot more difficult for you to have to critically look at why you believe everything you believe. Like this might be something that happens for you later down the stage, but for me, having grown up not in Zimbabwe, I had to critically look at everything that I was taught at home and from our family, and then everything that I was being taught outside of home, and then look at, okay, where is this coming from? What does it mean? And does it serve the life that, like, does it serve purpose to the life that I want to live? And I was like, I'm sorry, yes, I'm Zimbabwean, but that don't make no sense.
You don't,
like, I'm not staying in a marriage just because we don't leave marriages. No. No.
And also just being unapologetic with having to reframe how you live your life, because then so many questions come into play, and again the whole issue of having to justify yourself to either people here or people back home, like being unapologetic with whichever stance you make, which is probably the biggest lesson I've learned.
But also, like, just to quickly add before we move on, it's like you can't really be in a position, like you just said with your cousin, you can't be in a position to compare if you don't have anything to compare it with. Like my twin sister, well, I'm a twin and my twin is still back home in Zimbabwe, and like even when we get to talk about stuff, I'm like, yeah, but babe, did you think of it from this point of view? And she's like, oh no, actually, no, I hadn't thought of it like that.
Exactly.
So but like you need to have something to look at to compare it with.
Exactly.
Like not really, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It just has to be like, oh, they do it this way. So is there, like, are we doing it because that's just tradition, or is there a more efficient way of doing things? Go wash your own hands is what I'm trying to say.
Just because we've always done it that way doesn't mean we need to keep doing that.
It's
not what it needs to be.
Literally.
So my next question
100%.
is, what was the hardest part of getting to where you are now? Realizing that now isn't the final destination. I need to put that out there. So what was the hardest part of getting to where you are now?
Ray, do you want to take this?
I think for me, the major thing is understanding that I'm not for everyone.
Amen.
And and I don't need to be apologetic about it, which is what I alluded to before. Because obviously I've had experience from 2 different places or 3 different places. So it's okay. It's okay that I am like this and you might not see and you might not understand, but it's okay. I'm not the problem.
Amen.
And I guess another thing for me was just like the fine line between my need for excellence and the need for perfection. That's probably my biggest thing, because like no, but like it's ingrained in us. Like I'm coming from African homes, like everyone's mum and dad was number 1. So like,
can we start with just like cleaning? My mom used to tell me cleanliness is nearer to godliness. Because someone tell me where in the Bible that's found.
No cap, I've got a Bible here. Is there no way that it says that in the Bible? Because we would like to know. Isn't that a proverb?
It's not a proverb. I don't know.
It sounds like it could be a proverb.
It might be an African proverb, but it was not from David. That's all I'm going to say.
No, it was not from the Bible. And I used to get taught this. And so it's like, it starts in the little things. The perfection starts in the little things. When you get ready for church, it's like, no. How can your hair look like that? No, your socks. No, you must put more Vaseline.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and no, but can we please talk about this? How many children could be number 1 in their class? How many?
It's literally impossible. I can't. There's too many of us. The odds are not in my favor.
Literally, this is an example. I got like 72 and I got first place. It was like English, who knows, whatever. And then I got home and I was like, hey, guess who's number 1? She's like, but you got 72 though. And I was like, but I'm number 1. And she's like, yeah, but you're my kid and we don't get 72s. And I was like, the neighbor got 42. So if I got 72,
I got 70.
And they're like, so do you want to go to the neighbor's house and live there? Because we don't do that here. And I was like,
that one was always a thing when you'd bring up other people's houses. And it's like, go live there then.
Guys, this, no joke, was said to me once. So I think I came maybe 3rd or 4th in my class, and honestly it was a big achievement for me because I was like, I've worked really hard this semester only for me to go home. And I was told, so if there was only 4 people in your class, you'd be last.
You'd be number last.
Sorry?
You like Padres?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So we're gonna ignore the other 20-something people.
Literally, but there wasn't 4 people in the class. There was 24, and I came to 4th.
I mean, the truth and the reality of the situation is like, in an African household, you will literally get in trouble for a hypothetical situation. Like, someone will go to bed hungry over a hypothetical question. That's all I know. That's all I know, and that's all I'm saying.
Oh, bless them.
Okay, well, okay. So, like, the hardest part for me getting to where I am right now, I think it's also important to note that Kudzai, Ray, and myself were all the oldest in our family. Hello, type A, firstborn kids, out here struggling, deputy parenting.
My edges are gone.
I would come back as a lastborn any day. Any day.
I'm out here with like early onset gray hairs because I've been deputy parenting or whatever. But and okay. So for me, the hardest part of it, I think Kudzai would do an episode on this, I don't know, black tax.
Oh, wow. Oh,
that has been the hardest thing.
I don't know if I feel qualified to do an episode on black tax, but we shall see. If you guys would like to go check out the book, though, highly recommend it.
I think Ratty just qualified you to do it.
Tell the people, because I know, tell the people. There's a book, I think his name is like Ngri Mhlongo. I don't know.
Yes,
I will link it somewhere where they link things.
I wasn't going to do it.
You're not game? You're not game?
No, not on a podcast.
No,
but
I'm going to listen back to this and I'm like, Rati, really?
Really? That's how his name was pronounced?
Why would you say that?
Why would you play yourself like that?
Yeah, okay. So a quick search on Google. I think it says black tax is just defined as the income black professionals give to their families to support them, which also impacts their ability for black professionals to be able to save, build generational wealth, and whatever. Hardest part for me.
Oh, sorry. Before you start on that, I think a really important thing to put out there is that sometimes it's not always giving a consistent income to your family. Like black tax is really just if someone calls and says so-and-so is in hospital, you know, they
Grandma
call to
swallowed
tell
your
you
fork.
so and so is in hospital, but to tell you the hospital bill, what do you want us to do with it? Like that. That is like
yeah.
It's not an announcement.
For it, but reshuffle.
No, exactly.
It's
You
just
need
like,
to reshuffle this month's budget because we said so and so is in hospital. Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the kids, the school fees. You're not being told about the update in the school fees. No.
no.
The money is not there. Okay.
When you're ready,
you'll be
reshuffle.
What will
When you're
you
ready,
do
you'll be
about
ready.
it?
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So I think, like I was saying, we're literally getting so off topic and just like circling back. I
This
love it.
is our conversation.
And I just love it. For me, the hardest part was obviously coming to terms with the fact that I'm a byproduct of black tax.
Yeah.
Which is something that took me forever to come to terms with. Like, I came to Australia on my aunt and uncle's visa because, I mean, obviously my family would have never been able to round up the money and get me here. So it was definitely a village effort to get me here, which is black tax.
Yeah.
So my tuition was paid, which is black tax.
Yeah.
So now flip it down, reverse it. Put my name down, flip it down, reverse. Yeah, I was wondering what that song is. Anyway, so now circle back. So now I'm in a position where I can help. I'm now a professional. I'm earning good money. And I have to send the ladder back. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, but why can't people just work? So every now and again, I have to catch myself. Yeah, I literally catch myself in the act and I'm like, Rati, you need to realize, like, you're also a product of that. Yeah. Like, there's like, I think like Zimbabwe went through a really bad time in 2008 and there was no food.
Us, guys.
That was hectic. That was hectic. Like, I could write a book. Let me know, guys, in the comments if you want me to write a book. I could definitely write a book on this stuff. But like, we had relatives from South Africa sending us food, sending us money, sending us all these things. And when I was a kid, I mean, realize this, in African households, I can't speak for the whole African continent, I'll speak for my family, finances are not something that are widely discussed. Like, you know that there's no sugar, but tomorrow you wake up and there's sugar. No one tells you where the sugar has come from. No one tells you where this is happening. So it's because of that I was like, yeah, but like, we always had enough. But I didn't realize, like, someone in the background, someone somewhere was busy holding my mom up when she wanted to put her hands down, talking about, nah, girl, these kids are going to go to school. These kids are going to have, like, they're going to have fresh uniforms every term. Like, things are going to happen. They're going to have tuition, book levy, bus levy, you name it. So for me, it was just like, yeah, and I mean, in as much as I would like to be like, oh my gosh, the cultural shock, that is something, and there's podcasts that say that, but I think for this part, my answer to this definitely has to be black tax, because it's not something that you pay a set amount of. It's a consistent, like, it's something that you go through through life. And I was talking to my aunt the other day, who, I mean, shout out to her, like, literally my favorite person under the sun, and she was like, black tax, it'll always happen. Yeah, Auntie Cora, like, guys, she currently has
episode. Can't wait.
Let's do it.
I love this woman.
You need to hear her.
Out of
thoughts.
pocket
like,
is what she is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so she's got kids and her youngest is like 18. I mean, appreciate this. Like, Shane was like maybe year one when he moved to Australia, so he doesn't know what happened before him. But let me tell you something for free. We're out here investing in people back in Zimbabwe. Shane is paying black tax. Shane probably has no idea why he has to support a cousin he doesn't know. But yet here we are. So if that's not the hardest thing, I don't know what is.
Exactly. On the flip side of that, for me, that would be the hardest thing too, is that in as much as I haven't I have benefited from black tax, but I haven't benefited directly. Like, my parents have, and now we're in this position. I feel so much guilt for how much more privileged I am than my cousins and opportunities I have. And I'm like, oh my God, what can I do to make this worth it? Like, how can I help them? I want to be able to help them, but I also want to be able to live a life that is like, okay, I am in a privileged position. I'm not going to waste that.
Don't want to set myself on fire to warm everybody else, but at the same time, I would like them to eat.
Exactly.
Be smart with your investments. And Cora will talk more on this. Like, honestly, if anyone was ever qualified to speak on this, that's her. That's it, period.
No, yeah. So the next question, what has helped you the most along this journey?
Ooh, okay. Uh, I'm really caught up in like going with the whole like super mainstream. Oh my God! So the church has been really instrumental, and like, but at the same time, I'm like, I just really want to be authentic with actually what has helped me. Like,
Okay,
the church
where
has
is
been
this going?
great.
Bring it full circle for us,
All
baby.
right. All right, let me take that again. I'll take that again.
Take two. Let's go.
Scratch that. So for me, I think because Kodai and Ray, we've been friends for like ages. I think I'm like, you guys were like the first of my friends when I moved to Australia.
Yeah.
What has helped me definitely has been having the freedom to have friends who have different opinions and perspectives. Because I remember when I moved to Australia and we were going out for like breakfast dates and things like that, and I couldn't afford stuff, so I was just like, nah, I had breakfast, I just don't feel hungry enough. And at the same time, I'm like, if I was to explain this, because I was born in Zimbabwe, raised in the UK, moved to Australia, she would not really appreciate the whole immigration. I'm having troubles with my visa. I mean, Ray, she came on her parents' paperwork, so like she will appreciate that, but she probably won't really know what's going on. So for me, it was having to step outside, look for people that I can gel with, that, I mean, people would say equally yoked, outside of my usual friend group, and having support from people who are walking the same walk. Like that for me has been the most helpful, being able to reach out and step out. And because I did nursing, and all of my friends, you did med lab science, Ray, you're a pharmacist. So what I was going through in nursing, no one else was going through. So no one else would be able to help me. So there's that. Yet another one of Auntie Cora's nuggets, she always used to say to me, like, I would come home knackered. Like, I would be so tired from doing.
She used to hustle, y'all. I used to be like, oh my God, best friend.
I literally used to be like, this. Are you okay? Can I bring you something?
I used to worry so much. I'm like, do you want me to bring you anything to work? What do you want? What you want to eat? What can we do?
Oh my gosh. Anyway, can we just talk about how black tags benefited me? Yo, my first car, my Mazda 323, GYI. I should probably I should stop saying
number plate engraved.
I should stop that. I got my first car from Kuzai's parents. Literally just like, we know you don't have a car. We're getting rid of our car. There you go. So that's all I got to say on black tags. Like, I have benefited, and I am going to keep investing in people. Anyway, circle back with the whole Auntie Cora's nuggets. She always used to say to me, I would come home tired, so broken down, and we would literally no will to live. Like, just like, I am so tired. I could literally smell like my breath. I was just like, we're not doing this. And she always used to say, Rati, that which pursues you determines your speed and determines your effort. So every time when I would feel tired, I'll be like, damn, but like, would I rather not be in Australia tired with electricity and running water? Or would I want to be comfortable in my mother's house back in Zimbabwe, living La Vida Loca?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, without having all these things. So that definitely helped me. And before I moved to Australia, I think there was like all this question, like, how am I going to do? Like, what's going to happen? Like, how am I going to sustain myself? Obviously, there's provision, God's grace. Literally shout out. God is good all the time.
All
but
the time,
I remember,
and that's his name.
And that's his nature.
You grew up in an African church, y'all know.
Let them know. And so I remember I was talking to my mom one time, and I was just like, Mom, there's no way I'm going to make tuition, because Australian education is like $25,000 a year. So this is me trying to make $1 out of 50 cents, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And she just always used to say, God will be God, and the will of God will never take you where His grace cannot sustain you.
Oh, come on!
I
say that again. Woo.
God is God, and the will of God will never take you where His grace cannot sustain you.
Amen.
So, and I think there's a verse in let me lie to the saints. There's a verse in the Old Testament. I think that's more accurate. They don't read their Bibles. They don't know. Says, God has been there before. Where you want to go, He's already been there. Like, you don't need to worry about it. Your steps are ordered by Him. Do not worry, do not fear. So I think that has definitely helped me. I don't know, Ray, can you say something like that?
Over to you.
Like how?
Yeah, 100%. God was definitely a huge factor, and I guess just not a concept of spirituality, because that's all I knew, and that's how my parents raised me. But an actual personal relationship with Jesus was paramount for my journey. And like you've said, community as well. Like as soon as I found my niche of girl gang, the game was over. It was
Game over.
Honestly, Ray really imagined a glory, and we love it.
We're here for it.
Honestly, I guess another thing that I probably haven't touched on is, I guess, self-awareness, allowing myself to just go through the motions. And I guess the biggest thing was learning when to clench my fists and when to get on my knees. That was the biggest thing.
One more time, break that down for us. When to clench your fists and when to get down on your knees.
Exactly. Learning when to clench your fists and when to get on your knees.
Finger clicks, y'all. Finger clicks, y'all.
Literally, I felt that.
Yeah, I think that just speaks for itself, because like honestly, out here I'm a modern day Jacob. We always have our fists up. We're always fighting, if not with God, with people, and like trying to make our way work, honestly, with ourselves. And sometimes it's like, you know what, God, I don't got it, you got it. Like, so that was definitely one. And then technology as well, me being able to keep up with people back home,
WhatsApp
music,
WhatsApp
honestly
groups are changing lives.
WhatsApp groups change lives, and they take lives, y'all.
They're also
maybe
African
moms. Maybe African moms don't deserve WhatsApp groups. Maybe let's take that off the plate.
These chain messages be killing us during Corona. My God,
it's a combo we didn't ask for. It's a combo we don't need.
The things I've heard that cure Corona,
guys. I don't seen a video of a mom like literally foiling her windows because apparently the virus can't get through aluminum foil.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so appropriate.
It's a circus. It's an absolute circus.
It really be like that. How do you feel like, because your journey already started when you were in the UK, so
yeah.
I mean, being in a first world country started way back when, before the Zulus were people. So how did you go through the motion in terms of growth? And because you know how everyone's like, oh my God, I just want to grow. I just want to go from glory to glory.
Strength.
From strength to strength, from glory to glory. How did you, like, how did your journey look like in terms of growth, going from, like, obviously one first world country with extreme weather conditions? That's really not appropriate for this, but we're just out here describing the UK, y'all. to tropics, Australian tropics, like your growth, your journey.
I think living in England was really easy for me. I was in a bubble, and this could just be me looking back at my childhood with rose-tinted glasses, but I swear
it was the best time of my life.
And I so easy. But no, it was easy because the school I went to, super multicultural, so you never really feel different. Like, I grew up with people from all different countries, and so that, like, the accent, what accent? We all got an accent. Like, and then
what are you on about?
Truly, it's like people had different, like, religious beliefs and whatever the case may be. So nothing was ever weird. If anything, it was like, you're during this time, you're not doing this or you're not doing that. Why is that? That kind of vibe. And then also I grew up around my cousins and my aunties and uncles. So that was like, there was a mini Zimbabwe right there. Like, one of my aunties lived right across the road. The other one was like 5 minutes away. Like, I'd cycle to go to my cousins. Let's go hang out. Yeah, literally.
The little Harare going on. Okay.
So it was so easy, and I just felt that was easy. And then you come to Australia and people are asking questions you've never asked yourself. You're like, I don't know, I'm just Zimbabwean. What do you mean? Why is this a thing right now?
As in, why am I black? That's so deep, mate. I don't know. That is so profound. I don't know what
to tell you. Yeah,
I couldn't tell you. I was born like this.
This is how it is. I don't know what to tell you. And then it's having to, I think the journey probably started here in having to break down everything that I was like, okay, this is what I was taught. This is what I know. Who am I? Like, Who am I? I don't know. Who knows? Can somebody tell me who I am? Someone answer this. 25 marks, please.
You're out here like 8 years old having like an introspective conversation with you talking about, but who's the real Kudzai though?
Honestly.
Actually don't even
dissection.
When I look back, I'm like, what kind of 11-year-old was like this? Like, who thinks like...
Who else went through this? And it's so reflective in your personality, Kudzai, because like the way, like your questions, the way they're so profound. I mean, let me tell you something for free. This girl will come into my messages talking about, best friend, what's your passion in life? I'm like, babe, I don't know. Do I need to know this right now?
I don't even know what I'm eating for lunch. Why are you going to come for me like that?
Like in the middle of a shift. It's just
every
like,
day. I'm like, I am currently saving somebody's life. I am currently frontlining Kudzai. If this is okay, can I have a few days to sit on it? And then she comes back with, if you got to think about it, you probably don't have one. Like,
that is not how I said it.
What is your problem?
So, I mean, definitely that came out of that introspective 8-year-old talking about
that's so bad. I promise
now we know,
bad, guys.
Now the people know. I am here. I'm evidence. I'm telling my truth.
Okay, but in my defense, the other day, Rati texts me. She goes, "What is one thing that you're good at that you hate doing?" I was like, "Who the hell thinks of these things?" I don't know.
I think why our friendship works is because all of us have some element of this, honestly.
And like
we just get caught in our own bubble, and then all of a suddenly it's someone else's problem too. So
exactly. So you know when you're like going through like a challenging time and you realize something about yourself, and you're like, I wonder who else. I wonder if she knows this about herself. Like, what else? You need to think about it because I just found that about me. You might want to know about you. That's all I'm
we stay putting each other on. Like, I just had this revelation. Best friend, have you had that?
Get onto it.
100%.
100%.
So, next question. Oh my gosh, you people talk too much. What does having a stable identity look like? Whatever stable identity means. Take it away.
I do not know. Your Honor, I cannot recall. I got no answer for this. I plead the fifth. I might incriminate myself listening to this in 5 years' time. A stable identity. I am going through the motions. I am continuously growing. I like to leave the whole identity thing as a very open book with commas, without full stops, because I am just learning, you guys. Like, I am finding things about myself that I never knew, and so I'm just like adding things to the list. And I think it's so important to surround yourself with people who allow you to explore that, people who allow you
they don't hold
to go through that, because exactly. So like I've had friends in the past who were like, yeah, but you wanted to move to Melbourne last week and now you want to move to Perth. Yeah, girl, like,
I changed my mind.
Damn. Yeah, I know what I said and I said what I said, but I changed my mind.
But now I'm saying what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think like the way I look at a stable identity for me is just like allowing yourself the freedom to look into who you are and to be able to change and to know that it's okay to grow. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay. Like,
amen.
Is that Maya Angelou who says something about now that you know better, do better.
Do better. It is Maya.
Yeah, it's
Mama
like
Maya. Yes, it is.
Mama Maya did it. She said it. I believe it. Yeah, so it's like things like that I'm just like, look, stable identity, it's whatever it is. Like, it's, I mean, obviously my identity is in Christ if we're going to look at it from that side of things. But like in just my day-to-day, incorporated with my Christian faith, is like growth. So stable identity is growth. It's allowing yourself to grow. It's allowing yourself to, I mean, comfort zones never made legends. That's all I know. So Christianity and growth, the end.
The conversation we were having about you being like, girl, best friend, I gotta find my style, like my clothing style and my house style. I don't even know what I'm into. She just really to Scandinavia.
Okay, so 2018. Okay, let me take you on a journey. 2018. Rati 2018 was into Scandinavian style. I kid you not. I went out, bought pink furniture, went into neutrals, did the whole thing. Yes, 29 Rati was, my couch is cute. I would show you guys. I'll put a picture in the comments. 2019 Rati was into natural, minimalistic appeal. 2020 Rati is currently doing natural earth tones with Do you see what I mean?
With the
This
touch of work.
translates into my dress code. This translates into my house aesthetic. This translates onto my Instagram page. Like, this girl, we are tired. That's all. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Ray, because like you are more of a thinker. So I would like to assume that if anyone had an answer to this, it would be Ray.
Listen, this question done stumped me. Because you're right. I am still a work in progress. Like if you have the yellow tape, wrap it all around me like a mummy, like still under construction. But I guess the best way I can define it for myself is just like finding my stability and being unapologetic, which is what I have I spoke about before, and just understanding that there's going to be layers to it, and every other day you're going to find something else that you're going to unravel and you're going to have to peel off, and it's fine, and it's okay. I suppose for me, the way that I think I've set up my identity is I got the root system. I had this thing a couple, and I think towards the end of last year is when like I started really paying attention to it. But if who you are is a sum of what you value, and so I just wrote down what are the things that I value, and I just made those things my root system. Everything else
is
around that.
Where were we when you're going on this journey?
No,
I got left behind.
I was about to say something out of pocket. It was the 1 month hiatus she had in November. She done switched off, but anyway, that's when
no. Because if you go back to your DMs, I sent you this text and you answered it. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Rati, listen, I can send you the question.
Okay, thank you. I would like an opportunity to answer this in my own words. Thank you.
Yeah, and
I look forward to your text.
But yeah, so I basically just sat down and wrote a couple of things that I value. I guess a couple is like I got God relationship, which like God and family all come under that, friends and everything, education, health, and all of that. And that's what I have kind of based my resolutions around. And so that's kind of how I'm basing my identity in a sense from that. And then every other day there's something, a nuance you'll find about yourself that they're like, oh, okay, that's me, that's how I'm okay, cool.
That is my new favorite word, nuance.
For a laugh, did you claim 2020 as your year?
Okay, listen, you know what?
It's a yes or no answer. The people want to know. Were you amongst the people who claimed 2020 to be your year? Girl, answer yes or no. We keep it moving.
Let me tell you something. As much as 2020 has come swinging, I actually have enjoyed this year so much. Okay, so a little backstory.
She called it her year of isolation, and now we all in isolation with her.
Prophesy.
Prophesy. How ironic. But I suppose I've been doing what y'all are starting to get used to in the past month. I've been doing it since the start of the year. Actually, towards the end of last year, I was like, I'm ready to start 2020. I'm ready to start my isolation. So yeah, in a sense, 2020 has been my best year so far.
First of all, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to speak on that. Literally, go talk to your year. Tell us we're ready. The bus leaves for 2019 tomorrow. Let's meet at 6 p.m. at your local bus stop. I can't take you seriously. I can't take you seriously.
Y'all are too much. So, next question. How have you navigated your relationship with your parents whilst figuring out you? And I asked this question because
God bless my mom.
Your parents will always matter. There's no point in time when your parents don't matter. And also because we're firstborns, guys.
Literally, my entire life has been like, your sisters look up to you. You can't be out here making mistakes. You can't be out here living la vida loca, doing the most, doing the least.
Tell them to turn to the side.
They all looking up to you. But like, why you gotta look at me? Like, I mean, I've already said this in the past. Like, I am a twin, but the pressure is on me. I'm like, but why me though? Why gotta be me?
Those 5 minutes made a difference, Flirty.
It did, clearly. I'm not going to comment on that. I say what I said. My mom, God bless her, my mom has been so influential in just like my growth. And I do thank God that I moved to Australia when I was 20, because when I moved here, I already had values in me, and they have just since manifested, but they've also been adjusted and interpreted in a way that fits the society that I'm currently in. However, because I moved here without my mom, even though I consider Uncle David and Auntie Cora, which is my aunt and uncle in Townsville, to be my parents, but my mom, she stayed in Zimbabwe, and it really, our relationship is fine, but it really has gone through things. And not in the sense that we've argued or anything like that, but we had to go through like an expectation adjustment, because I went from asking my mom for stuff to the roles being reversed. So I went to being a provider, but at the same time, she's 22 and my mom is 42. God love her, she looks 20. Fresh skin. So we're going through all of this, and my mom, she's not the kind of person who will ask for anything. So this is me trying to preserve the whole mother-daughter relationship. So I'm like, I'm going to give her money before she asks for it, because I don't want it to seem as though she has to ask me for money. So then a lot of strong adult conversations had to be had. Like, we were talking about finances. We're like, okay, so let's get this whole difficult conversation out of the way. Let's so these are the expectations, this is what I can give, this is how much I can help, so that we don't ever have to talk about finances if we don't have to. So for me, my relationship, I'm so grateful that my mom is open-minded and she's always trusted me. But it really I had to depend on my mom for something different. It wasn't like a provision. It was more like she would support me in prayer. She'll be like, nah, I'm praying for you, I'm lifting you up. So which actually made so much of a difference, because I would be out here slaving, making the money, knowing that my mom was praying. I knew that my mom was praying, and that for me made a mountain of difference. Like, it to this day, like, I know that for my mom, I'll never ask for money. Not, I don't need it, but it's a different kind of provision. It's a different kind of setup. It's a different kind of expectation. And it's really wild, because you guys, both your parents are in Australia, and you will never have to look after your parents. So how does that work for you? How do you call your mom by her first name? You don't.
You don't. Unless you want to.
You don't.
You do not.
Unless you want to go back to 2019. That's it.
That's not what we're doing.
But how do you continue to navigate your relationship in Australia with your parents, who obviously were born and raised in Zimbabwe, worked in Zimbabwe, then moved? Like, obviously, when you go back to when you go back to Kenya, Ray, you still see people your age, the way they treat their parents, the conversations they have with their parents, the fears they have, and things like that. Like, how is that different having your parents in Townsville versus...
you can go. No, you go.
That's it.
I was going to say, one of the things that was a big deal I don't know if it was a big deal in our family, but I felt like it was a big deal. So I'm going to call it a big deal. My dad, so both my parents lost their fathers when they were like before the age of 20. Yeah, before the age of 20. And they're both the oldest. So in an African household, you already know the roles that are going with that, especially for my dad being the oldest and he's a son. That was like next level responsibility. Yeah. And so one thing that I remember him saying, and he said it a few times during my childhood, was that he never wanted, if anything were to happen to him, for us to not have been able to have that friendship, because he felt like when his dad passed away, that was the beginning of them like going from father-son to more of like a friendship kind of relationship. And so that has always guided the relationship that I have had with my parents, in that in as much as it was like, okay, they would do the boundaries of like, okay, you're taking it too far now, we're still your parents.
I'm not one of your little friends. I'm not one of your little friends.
Exactly, I'm one of your little friends. But it was still, there was the room to have the conversations. And so that's what it's always been. And I really do pride myself in being their most like hard-headed child. So if I come and I say, okay, this is what I'm thinking of doing, what do you guys think? And I'll hear them out. If we have a difference of opinion, I'm like, cool, I'm still doing it. But no, I heard what you said. I took it on board.
I'd like the record to state that I did come to you anyway.
Exactly. You know what's gone on. I'm not keeping you in the dark. We've had the conversations. I will address any fears or concerns that you might have, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm coming to my parents with something, it's already bulletproof. So when they try and be like, what about this? What about this? What about this? I'm like,
you've already thought about it.
Oh my gosh, because when you started Bible college, like, I'm gonna do Bible college. Like, she was the first of our friend group to go into Bible college. So we were all like, you were like, what, 3rd year of university?
Yeah, that was crazy, guys.
And we were all like,
wild,
uncharted territory. And Kudzai is like renowned for going through, walking the paths that are least treaded by anybody. The angels are scared to tread, and Kudzai will literally like. Literally 100 per hour, go charge towards that. So I remember when she said, "Oh, so I'm going to tell my parents I'm going to do Bible college," and we're like, "That's like 1 week. I mean, 1 day a week that you have to set aside. Then you've got uni and you've got work and you've got all of these things." So I remember you going through the whole, and they're going to ask me this, so I'm going to say this, and they're going to ask me this, and I'd like to heavily announce that Auntie Letwin, Kudzai's mom, did Bible college.
Yeah, she then did Bible college, and then she's like, "Oh, can you help me with my assignments?" I'm like, "You didn't help me with my assignments. You were not on board. No, I won't help you."
So I think that's just testament to the friendship and like how your parents allow you to still be yourself. Yeah. Like, especially if it's not clearly a mistake. It's like, oh, look, it's unusual. And I'm that child. I really, I do. I really
rebel in
do
other
like
ways.
That. Yeah.
Like, even going to Kenya, they're like, "Oh, we don't think that's a good idea. Like, it's a long time. It'll affect your contract, yada, yada, yada." I was like, I said,
also, here's some
I'm going to Kenya.
I love it.
So I said, I'm going. This is what's happening. Everything's going to be good. It'll be fine. And then when I was in Kenya, I'd be giving them like updates and stuff of everything that I was doing, the people I was meeting and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, "Wow, we see why you were pushing for it now. This seems like such a great move." I was like, "You see,
like, I'm glad you finally see the vision."
Does it now?
Exactly.
Ray, how do you feel? Because you've got really, like, I think of everyone, your parents are like the most chill. Like, Ray's parents are just like,
they really are. Maybe next to Helen's parents.
They're like, really?
Yeah.
I really do take to auntie and uncle Owata. They just seem like they're just chilling.
Listen, I am 100% blessed. Like, honestly, I still look at my parents and the way they just like handle things and they handle people, and I'm like, God, you chose me? Like, what?
I'm so lucky.
But honestly, shout out to mom and dad. But I've got to say, I think one of the biggest things was the move. The move had to shift things for us. I suppose because of the mind space that I was at. Like, I was defiant. I didn't want to be here. So then the roller coaster that went with that, and then also coming and seeing a different way of life. It commanded for our relationship to kind of be solidified, and that friendship to come around. So I definitely think that parenting had to shift in a sense, because things back home, like, there's some things that pass here that would never be a thought.
You could never ever.
It's so insane that when I look at like my interaction with my dad or my parents, and they're just like, what? Which package is this? How do we get on this package?
Exactly. And like, Rati, you also alluded to it before, like, I am a thinker. So I think for me, my parents have just always kind of trusted that, like, by the time like she's doing something, or she has considered this, and she's considered all the replications,
possibilities.
Exactly. So I think that was just always something that was established from my childhood, and like I think I was just always like a more mature than a lot of my peers. So I don't really think that in a
Ray, this whole mature beyond your years, Kudzai and I found something out.
What? Oh, it was from that Instagram.
It's a sign of trauma, boo. It's unresolved childhood traumas.
Listen,
I've got an overdeveloped sense of responsibility. Anyway, I'll link you. I'll link you the post.
Shook. I'm not even shocked.
I hate you for saying it like that.
I'll link you the post so
No,
that you can
but
read
listen,
the comments and stuff. It
I'm,
could
I'm
change.
not. I'm not even sure
Done.
because I just like feel like in the past couple of months, me trying to declutter my life, I've been like, wow, that's not normal.
My therapist is really making her coin right now because damn, sis is messed all the way up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, nah, we just
Guys, walking through childhood traumas is a whole other episode of it.
Honestly, please
maybe
sign me
season
up for
2.
the next
That's
one,
all we're gonna
please.
do. That's all we're gonna do in season 2. Childhood
Straight
traumas.
ghetto
That's
is
it.
what it is. Ooh.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah. I just thought I'd put that out there because now every time someone's like, I'm not sure beyond my ears, I'm like, trauma.
Have you considered that it might be trauma?
Oh my god.
Trauma.
Don't attack me like
Overdeveloped
that
sense
though.
of responsibility. Trauma.
Oh, shim.
Or maybe
The
it was
end.
just the fact that I was the firstborn.
Yeah, but it's like how much is put on you as the firstborn because you must be the golden child.
Honestly.
Is that not traumatic? Wasn't it?
You're not responsible for people's happiness, but she got straight A's. Trauma.
We've been through things, guys. We really been through things.
Oh, we've been through the motions.
Anyway,
Definitely through the motions.
moving on. Last question. What advice would you give to someone in a similar situation?
Ooh, okay. People. My people, please do not be bullied by other people's timelines.
Amen.
That's for me.
Preach.
That's for me. Because a degree that you get after 10 years, let me tell you something for free. It's still a degree. There is people who have been married 10, 15 years. They're still waiting for kids. There's people with kids who are not married. There's people who have rented their houses. They wait until they were 50 to get their first mortgage. But guess what? It's still a house. This is something that I tell everybody who's willing to listen. Do not be bullied by other people's timelines. Let's enjoy what you're going through because you can't love who you are right now and hate how you got here. Like, it doesn't work like that. You can't hate the experiences that shape you.
Say it again.
For the people in the back, I said, you can't love who you are and hate the experiences that shape you to be where you are. Like, you can't do that. I say this with a pinch of salt. I'm not saying if you've had bad things happen in your life, be like, I'm so grateful that I was sad.
Insert
like,
whatever.
Just changed my insert whatever. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm obviously, if you've got traumas, please seek counseling. We're not counselors. We're just out here.
We're not. As you can tell, we discovering traumas ourselves.
We're out here telling other people Ray's got trauma. Ray,
child.
That's it.
I think I'm gonna have to call my therapist after this.
Are they doing telehealth? Because is
that still on? How we going?
Can we still go to the couch? But yeah, please, people, do not be bullied by other people's timelines. You know what? Run your race, do the best you can when you can, and forgive yourself for the things that you did when you did not know.
That's a big one.
Jesus, it's like when I mean, this is the same. It can be as light and trivial as the Instagram filter you chose to use when you were 14. Like, forgive yourself. Like, or it could be as big as like the friendships you got into, the relationships you got into, the choices you made. Like, it's forgive yourself. And I think the worst thing is the hardest thing for anyone, including myself, is to look at yourself and filter everything through grace. Like, to be able to give yourself grace and mercy and everything. Like, we so free willingly give it to everybody.
To everyone else.
But when it comes to us, it's like, I don't deserve it. Like, why do I do that? So then that now brings an element of dependence, and you're like, no, if someone and wanting people to approve you and acknowledge you, and for now your value is misplaced, and so now that's a whole nother episode. But if you're gonna take anything away from this, it's like, do not be bullied by other people's timelines, and that's on period.
To add on to that, Ray, I don't know if you remember the argument that we kept having for weeks at the end of last year about, do you believe that people are always doing their best? Yes. And I still stand by what I said. So your opinion is invalid right now.
We're about to hear it.
But I fully believe that everyone is always doing their best with what is in their toolbox. Now, as individuals, it is our responsibility to stock up our toolbox. So that means increasing your self-awareness, increasing emotional intelligence, putting yourself in the position with the right people. Like that kind of stuff will help stock up your toolbox and help you be a better person. But at any point in time, everyone is doing their best. Well, I choose to believe that people are doing their best with what is in their toolbox. And so I think I wanted to bring it up when we're talking about stable identity, is that's what it is. It's just always making sure my toolbox is the best it can be, and I'm just doing the best with the tools that I have. Like if I have a hammer in there and I don't need a hammer, I'm throwing out the hammer. What is it doing in my toolbox? It's taking up space.
Exactly. Yeah.
The hammer of resilience. Throw it out.
Not even resilience. The hammer of we don't share emotions. Hish. Throw it out.
Put out. You don't need that in your life. Ray, what's your advice, my love?
My thing, and when I was thinking about this, was what I would tell my 15, 16-year-old self.
Yes, I love it.
One, I would tell life is really IBS.
Is what?
And IBS.
IBS. So I'm thinking irritable bowel syndrome because but I don't think that's what you mean.
No,
so
100%.
Tell the people.
100% is what I mean.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, there you go. See, do you see that? These are the jokes that we be having. Like literally, we've been in. Okay, people. I'm so sorry for people who are not in the health field because the content is purely based on this. Like we're not in the entertainment industry. We are just part of the major social.
We joke with health.
We joke with health, but we also go for a run and we take our vitamins.
That little tummy feeling like, oh, I love him, I know him. Nah, child. Anyway, I'm kidding. Let's get serious.
You really went left with that, Ray. I was like, where
are we going?
I thought you said yes, and I was like, I could see how that is. And you said it again, you're like, yes. And I was like,
anyway,
take it away, Ray.
The advice that I give my 15-year-old self is that maybe the scene of what I think is my greatest storm is the setting for my greatest miracle.
Hallelujah.
So it might look like the waves are coming in and they're crushing and they're wild, but you are where you're meant to be and it will all make sense. Hindsight is a good thing.
100%.
Amen.
100%.
Hindsight is a beautiful gift.
There's been so many posts recently talking about if the day that Jesus died was eventually called Good Friday, maybe what you're going through will be good. Think about it. Think about it from that. It's like, don't just be out here talking about I really be going through things. Like you never know. It's a setup. It's a setup for higher standards. Like it's really coming through. And just to add on to what Ray said, like with the storms, like the storms will come. We're meant to conquer storms. Like you will always have these. Like stop getting surprised that you're being tested. Just start passing the test. Right? It's like, oh my God, I am tested. The saints are being tested. Just pass the test.
I think the biggest lie you can believe is that you're the only one going through something. Who's been through it. That is the biggest lie you will ever believe, because it's like
you're not the one. You're not the first one.
Yeah. And it's so, oh my gosh, it just changes everything. Because then you go from, oh God, why me? Why do things always happen to me? Like, oh, it's happening to all of us.
Maybe it's your turn.
Exactly. But yeah. Thank you guys so much. This was so much fun. That concludes this episode.
Can I say one more thing before we go?
Yes, you can say a closing statement.
Okay, so people, your best day has 24 hours.
Amen.
Same as your worst day. It only has 24 hours. Please.
Amen.
You can choose to milk your joy. You can choose to milk your sorrows. You can choose to milk your grief.
Hallelujah.
Hold a pity party. Just don't build a house there.
Amen. Whoosh. Felt that. Okay, well,
that's that. That should have been my advice, but like it came to me and I was like, oh my god, I should really, like, I wouldn't let this moment pass. Like the people
I'm not
need to know
gonna let
this
this moment pass me.
No, God.
On that note, I have nothing else to add. This was so much fun, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.